Welcome to Nutbourne. I'm Gladwin and I have been here since I was 1 year old. Nutbourne Vineyards was planted in 1979 by some pioneers in the vineyard industry called the Sangers. My parents took it on in 1991 and this beautiful 26-acre site just north of the South Downs. We have 3 different types of trellis system here and 9 different types of grapes. We harvest over a sort of 4 to 6 week period, and it only takes about 10 days in that time. But everything we do at Nutbourne is made on site. So Nutbourne's very special. In the grand scheme of things in English vineyards, there aren't that many that do everything themselves. Here, my parents still run the place. My dad, always about. My mum does our paintings for our labels, does lots of charity work. That brings me on to my brothers, who run 5 restaurants in London and take an awful lot of our produce. Loads and loads of wine from the estate, but also our beef, our lamb, and produce from our polytunnel. And I am stuck here in the countryside. I look after the animals, I grow our grapes and make the wine, and my wife looks after our polytunnel. Not only that, we have a big team that works with us, and they're all considered family, and it's really important to us that it's all thought of as one big team. We're in our Scott Henry block of Pinot Noir, which is right in front of our beautiful windmill. This is a bit different. There isn't many areas in England that grow on a Scott Henry trellis system. You have this double growing wires. So you have a growing wire across here and a growing wire across here. You fold your canopy down on the bottom half and up on the top half. It gives you a nice clear area and crops very highly. At this stage, we're at veraison. And we've just done our leaf plucking to clear the fruiting area. Veraison is that big change in the year where you're starting to get ripe grapes. This is Pinot Noir, so we're starting to get the purple, and then they'll go blacker and blacker as the weeks go on. We're probably 6 or 7 weeks from picking this block. So we still have some of the original vines at Nutbourne, and they're about 40, 45 years old. These vines that you're in now are about 20 years old. They've been incredibly prolific over the years, and because of their trellis system asking a lot of them, they might not last as long as another trellis system. There's no real lifespan of a vine in a vineyard unless it dies off. It's more about how long you want to keep it going for, and how long, if it gets too out of control, or you want to change your row widths, or you want to change your system, and if it's still happy, if it's still producing well. In a vineyard, your pests aren't necessarily animals. It's more fungal. So the biggest issues are downy mildew, powdery mildew, and botrytis. Getting your soils right is always really important because you need to be feeding the plant what it needs. If it's struggling with, let's say, magnesium, in the Pinot Noir you get these red leaves, and we combat that by putting a spray on to feed the leaf, feed the plant. Now we've got these beautiful clean berries, beautiful clean trellis system. We've leaf stripped all by hand. We then go to the next sort of month. We're just looking after what's here now. It's all there, it's all ready to go. We're hoping for great weather to get it ripe, and then a decent harvest in late September, October. In a vineyard, you should be expecting around 4 tons per acre of grapes. We choose to go for a bit less than that to get some really ripe, delicious grapes to make the best quality wine. 1 ton of grapes produces around 850 bottles of wine. At Nutbourne, we try to produce sort of 40 to 60,000 bottles a year. This is our 2018 Nutty Vintage. It's been in store, in a bottle, underground for 4 years. It comes out, it goes through a riddling cage, which is this, on a machine in the other room. This turns the bottle over a week from laying on its side to upright and shakes the yeast into the neck of the bottle. We take it from here, we put it into a chilled glycol thing, which freezes the top inch of the bottle. Give it in, give it a bit of a rinse. crack the top off, and it goes to the next stage. Olivia here is running our actual dosage. So she puts it on. As she turns, we get a small injection of dosage into the bottle, and because she's quite so good at it, we never have to top up. She takes it off, corks it, cages it, puts it onto the trolley over the other side. From there, my dad at the moment will be tilting it upside down and back over, mixing the dosage into the wine. Gabby then cleans by hand, goes on the side, ready to be labelled and finished. So we're in our barrel room. It's where we age our nutty. At the moment we've got Pinot Meunier in here as a bit of a trial. It's a red wine that we're going for. It came out very harsh at first, but it's actually really changing, softening, and improving a huge amount in the barrel. It's been in there for six months or so now. Our nutty vintage has about 10% of its juice or wine aged in the barrel, and that's why I'm tasting it in here with you. The barrel helps it it gets some oak, but it also gives you more biscuits, more butteriness in there. Most people drink nutty as a celebration, but for me, it's perfect at breakfast. Oh, delicious. Aside from just growing grapes at Nutbourne, as a family we're incredibly interested in producing our own produce and improving the biodiversity in our local area. So I can't show you our biodiversity so much at the moment because we've mowed our cover crops in ready for the next lot to come. But I can show you what we're doing about our produce. So if you come with me up here, this doesn't look like much now, but it's going to be a pollinating area and for cut flowers. In here, Lani grows cucumbers for our picnics, celery for our picnics and our events, charred peppers. We've got leeks in for our cheese and leek tarts. She's working on the tomatoes at the moment. I'm sure she'll tell you about them better than I am.
So in the polytunnel, I'm growing all of the tomatoes for our picnics and our supper clubs. We've got big beef tomatoes and some cherries as well. We have all different varieties, including black, some orange, some yellow. I have just used what I had this year, but they went in about March time. And now they're starting to kind of taper off, but they're doing really well, and they've supplied everything for this year, and we've sold lots too. We have to side shoot often or they get quite jungly, but they're doing really well this year.
Biodiversity is hugely important, and at Nutbourne we make a real effort to improve it everywhere. The site's actually very good for it. We have these wild banks that sit as you come down the vineyards. We have this wildflower strip that was looked after. I cut it, clear it, and in the next spring it will come up again. Further down we have a big marshland, we have lakes, and our insect life is improving all the time. More recently we've gone into lots of cover crops. So every other row each year we cultivate it up and we plant things like mustard, which cleans your soils up naturally, which should, in theory, reduce your spraying, again, naturally, rather than coming up with another way of doing it. It's all improving our pollinators, our just general insect life, and I know that because I don't go out counting bugs, because our bird life is improving. So these are Pinot Meunier vines that were planted this May. They will probably produce a crop in 3 to 4 years time, and then because it's for sparkling, it'll be another 3 or 4 years till we get them. John here is taking the guards off, pulling the weed around it out to stop them suffocating themselves, stop them suffocating the vine, and then he'll put the guard back on and move on to the next one. He's a harder worker than me. So this is our Geneva double curtain. These are our oldest vines at Nutbourne. Commercially, not necessarily the best decision to keep them, but for Nutbourne as a place, it's really important to us. We love the heritage of this place. It was 10 years before we were here. Why should we be the right people ripping it out? It's the background to Sussex Reserve. It's the complexity in it. Sussex Reserve is a field blend from the whole site, but this gives the complexity. This is our Bacchus vines in here, and it gives the elderflower, that nose in it. The field blend across the whole site gives it a Riesling style. It doesn't necessarily change because no matter what goes in it each year, because the soil is the same, and so you're tasting Nutbourne. This is our lead wine in the restaurants. My brothers celebrate this every day. It's my mum's favourite wine, and God, it's good, let me tell you.